Are you ready to stop searching outside yourself and deepen the connection that matters the most?
Welcome to the Sacred Exchange Podcast. We are your hosts, John and Catherine Graham.
After years of navigating our own spiritual paths, we have learned that true transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the honest and vulnerable moments when we are willing to journey within with a curious mind and heart.
Every week, we invite you to journey with us as we share our spiritual ahas, our raw truth, and deepen our understanding of the human experience.
This is a space of vulnerability and healing, where souls meet, hearts transform, and love leads the way. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Exchange, where today we're going to be covering the topic of grief.
Yes. I just think in the last couple of weeks, and more so than the last couple of weeks, but there's been a lot of deaths. Yeah. It seems like it doesn't matter across the board. You know, there's been overseas, there was, in Australia, there was a thing that happened, and there's been many celebrities that have passed, and even, you know,
within our community,
within our own small community, we've experienced some passings. So, and I know, again, this time of year is a hard time of year across the board.
It highlights the grief.
Yeah, and I think it is it's a good topic to cover given all of what is going on, and maybe, you know, it'll bring a little bit of lighter, make things a little bit lighter for people.
Yeah. I always find the holidays seem to amp up our experiences of grief, and with, you know, the way the holidays are marketed and stuff, it's all about family getting together. It's being with your loved one. It's this joyous kind of happy time.
Yeah.
And when you've lost someone you love, it doesn't matter how many years it's been since a person has passed, or even what that relationship actually looked like. When it comes to the holidays, it's always like there's an empty space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's an empty chair so then it, you know, it sometimes brings up good memories.
Yeah.
And it also brings up what is missing. And so as people go through the holidays, I think a lot of times we try and force ourselves to just like be happy and look for the good and all of this, and try and push away that grief. But to truly experience grief and allow yourself to move through it, I think is a greater gift that you can give yourself. Mm-hmm. Allow yourself to miss your people.
Yeah. And we did talk a little bit throughout the week about grief, because we were experiencing some things that were going on that, you know,
we're bringing up grief.
We're bringing up grief. And grief it's not always death, right?
Yeah.
It's an absence, or it's the
loss of
something, or, you know, or wanting something to be the way it was.
Yeah.
Versus the way it is now. And I mean, we've seen a number of instances where it was just like, oh, okay, that's what this feeling is.
Yeah, you were experiencing that. Yeah. And it's not a comfortable feeling.
No.
It's kind of like a longing inside.
Well, it generates a whole bunch of emotions. You get angry, you get sad.
Yeah.
And when you see it, and when you can actually, you can say, oh, I'm just mad. I'm mad because I'm mad. But when you understand that it's grief that's underlying that's causing that anger or whatever, it starts to like calm.
Yeah.
A little bit, right?
Yeah, I think just having the awareness of any emotion, whether it's grief or anger or whatever, but being able to name it and go, oh, yeah, I'm experiencing grief because I used to experience this way, and now I'm experiencing it in a new way. And I kind of prefer the old way.
Bringing that unconscious to that conscious level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we had talked a little bit about, you know, obviously talking about grief and what that, what this discussion was going to look like. And I had asked you, about maybe sharing your story, because, you did lose your father at a very early age. And I've seen the different stages of grief. And, it's to me, I've been lucky. Like I've lost people that are close to me, but the way that you've dealt with that grief, I've seen the growth, and I've seen the differences, and I've seen how you've come to like really embrace and understand that. And I think it's important to at least that piece to share with the audience, because maybe there's some things in there that will be helpful to people.
Yeah. It's been a journey. I'll say that much. I truly believe that I started grieving my father when we found out that he had brain and lung cancer. And in that's where that kind of both denial and anger started. And they say that there's 5 stages of grief. You have denial, you have anger, you have acceptance, trying to like make a bargain. I don't remember what that one is called, and then there's one other one. I think acceptance is the last one. But anyways, when we first found out that he was diagnosed, I do believe I went into denial, and I also went into anger. About 6 months after his diagnosis, I was trying to bargain with God, going like, just take my life. Yeah. I don't want to be here anymore. Save him. He's a better person than I am. And then when he actually died, I think I just went into like a complete numbing stage, where it was like, I can't care anymore at all. Not that I didn't care, just it was easier to try and act like none of this is bothering me.
Yeah.
But there was other aspects of that as well, because there was other losses that were happening at the same time. So I just kind of numbed myself out for, I'd say, about 4 years of just being completely, push it down. And there'd be times where the emotions would come up and I'd let myself cry, but then push it down. And I guess it was when I went to get married to my first husband, that was when I finally experienced a connection with my dad. Okay. And it was just the song Hotel California coming on the radio and having a flashback of him air guitaring that in the living room when I was younger. And it felt like in that moment, it was him wrapping his arms around me and going, I'm here with you. Mm-hmm. And then I heard that song 3 more times on the radio that day. So it was like, oh, he's really here. Which then gave comfort to a lot of the grief. But even fast forward another 3 years when you and I got together, I still was pushing down a lot of that grief. Yeah. And I always look back to like I guess it was our second Christmas together, because our first Christmas we were like both living in separate homes. But we had a weekend without kids, and I was an emotional wreck. Like, it was supposed to be this glorious time of us having no kids and going on dates and stuff, and I just couldn't stop crying. And then we were like, oh, we're going to go to the movies. And we went and seen P.S. I Love You, which, excellent movie. But for someone who's trying to deny their own grief, good luck with that movie. Because it's a movie about a woman moving through her grief. Yeah. And it just broke me open, like, in such big ways. And I think that's the thing with grief is you can deny it as long as you want to, but it's going to come out eventually. Mm-hmm. And I think I again, as I step more so into like my spirituality and looking for deeper meaning in life and trying to understand life and death and everything in between and the afterlife and all of that, I started to find more reassurance, mm-hmm. more reassurance in an afterlife, in something beyond this current life, but also still having grief come up, and I mean, it's 27 years now. Every time that we play Christmas music and I hear my dad's favorite Christmas song, the grief is right there, just like it was that long ago. So it's... Is
it still grief, or is it like a remembrance?
I would say it's both,
Yeah.
right? That I think as long as you're separated from that loved person, that you can have the remembrance of, oh, this was their favorite song, and I remember them telling me the first time that it was their favorite song, and also now that I'm sitting here listening to it, I've got thoughts of them coming up, and then there's sadness that's attached to that.
Yeah.
And rather than, like, before I always thought grief was something I had to, like, have an end game to, like there was going to be a finish line where at some point I'm just going to be okay with it and I'll just fully accept it, where now it's more, today I can be okay. You know, I might have, I don't know, on Tuesday or something, I might have a moment where I have some tears that come out.
Yeah.
And that's okay, that it's all a part of that grieving process, that there is no finish line.
Yeah.
As long as you've loved someone and they're no longer in your life, there's a good chance grief's going to come up.
Yeah.
You know, and you can believe in the afterlife. You can get all of the signs in the world. I've gotten so many signs from my dad that he's still with me. But someone being there in a spiritual sense and having someone physically there to be able to touch, to hug, to talk to, it's a different experience altogether. You know, and I'm someone who believes in the afterlife. I'm someone who can connect with the afterlife, and still it's not quite the same as having that physical.
Yeah, even knowing that, okay, we are energy, and that energy is still here, and it's shared, and all of these things. It doesn't change that grief part, right?
Yeah.
And we did talk a little bit about how grief is not so much about the person. It's really about, well, it's about this person, not the person that you're grieving, right? It's you're missing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, like you miss being, in my example with my dad, you miss being a father's daughter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You miss having that kind of person to reflect back to you, you know, I love you in this kind of way. And you're right, it is this kind of loss of self where it's who I was beforehand and who I am now. Do you know what I mean? There's certain things or certain experiences that you just don't get to have anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we talked about this too. It's going through and looking at it from a spiritual sense. You know, they've completed their mission.
Yeah.
What they needed to do, they did, and you know, and now they've transcended to. But it doesn't make it any easier for this. This avatar,
no, it's so interesting too, because people will say there's so many stupid sayings that people say after someone has died. Oh, they're in a better place now. But no one who has just lost someone wants to hear that the person that they're missing the most in that moment is now in a better place.
Yeah.
You know, well, everything happens for a reason. No, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
As true as that may be, yes, it's not something that somebody wants to hear.
They're not encouraging.
They need
words.
to come to that themselves, right? It's not something.
Yeah.
Sure, you can think it, but just hold it in.
Yeah. I've had quite a few clients who have wanted to write their own book of the stupidest things people have said to them after they've lost a child or a husband or whatever. And people try their best. You know, I want to give you words of reassurance to help take this pain away. Typically, because I'm too uncomfortable with your pain.
Yeah.
And I'm uncomfortable with your grief. So here's a nice little saying to make it all feel better. But what that ends up actually doing is just creating more anger, which is a part, again, of that grieving process. But it's not typically helpful. Sometimes, this sucks.
Yeah.
Wow. Be angry. Be sad. Those are the most best words you can say.
And I would agree. And anybody that is on a spiritual path or embracing their spiritual gifts, I would have to think they would say the same thing. It's okay to feel through all of these things.
Yeah.
Through grief. You know, when we today we were watching about this way to release grief through your body, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting. Is you always think of grief as like an emotion or it's in here, but you don't think of just
Move your body.
and the guy just was doing all these movements and just like releasing that grief.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's really interesting to like just try and get it out. And I think that it is a good exercise. And I think it's something to remember when you have an emotion come up, whether it's grief or anything, is take it in, do something with it.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And one thing I want to say with like the let it go, letting it go, you can let it go for this moment.
Yeah.
And you can let it go again tomorrow. And you can let it go again the next day. I kind of equate having emotions to using the bathroom. Just because I went pee right before we did this podcast does not mean I'm not going to have to pee once we're done this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I'm living, I'm going to have emotions that are coming in, emotions that are coming up, and emotions that need to be released, just like I'm just going to have to keep using the bathroom, you know? And I had a client in earlier this month who had an experience of losing a loved one, and she was trying so hard to just get herself to stop crying because she couldn't believe that she was crying as much over this person dying, and it was a very close connection for her, so it made absolute sense that she would be crying about it. But again, a lot of times we think, just cry at the funeral and then move on. And you shouldn't be sad at Christmas, and you shouldn't be sad at birthdays. And maybe in a perfect ideal world, we don't have those emotions come up. But in this reality, we do feel that separation, and we do feel that loss and the missing of the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think, I agree. Like, grief is going to come up no matter what. It just is that sadness. I think there's better ways to deal with those things, and that's why I've seen you deal with grief. I've seen you deal with this.
Yeah.
And you've transcended. You do a really good job, or have done a really good job of making it into a positive.
Yeah.
Taking that and going, okay, I'm going to put my energy into this because this is, where this is taking me.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of, it's hard because I know people, you can sink, if you're in grief and you're missing, and you can, it becomes tricky because you can fall into depression, you can fall into a whole bunch of different mental or hardships, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I think I did experience that in the early stages of my dad's passing, is really struggling with coming to terms with it, really struggling with understanding it, why him. And then, of course, because there was all of these other losses that were happening at the same time. And that's typically how people will experience losing a loved one as well, is it's not just one loss. It's multiple losses, because relationships start to break down.
Yeah.
Sometimes financial hardship starts to happen. Sometimes because if you've been, a caregiver for someone for a really long time, you might run into burnout, or your own body's starting to shut down. You might not have time or even like the motivation to do some of the hobbies and stuff that you used to like to do. Like, it can be a complete separation from everything that you once experienced to be true. And so you're not only grieving the loss of the person, it's everything else that's connected to it. And I tend to call those the blind spots, right? Because for myself, I spent a lot of years in my healing journey trying to heal the grief that I experienced from my dad dying, and going, I've got to get this cleared up, without realizing and recognizing how many other things happened going up to his death and then after his death as well, that were kind of blind spots for me. I wasn't realizing how much those things were actually hurting me and how much grief was connected to those. And once I started actually looking at those different kind of spokes, because he was kind of the hub, and then there was all these spokes that came out, then I was able to actually start processing grief that I didn't even realize was part of that kind of grief chain.
So you were just addressing each spoke because each spoke will reinforce how strong that hub is, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So it's tricky. That's what I'll say. It's tricky, and you do need. I believe everybody needs someone to at least witness them through that grief, or to hold them through that grief.
No, I agree. We need to be there for each other, right? And even now, like when we were talking about it this week and talking about all the deaths that have come up, even those we have to grieve.
Yeah.
Right? Like the superstars or the actors and actresses or the communities, those bring up different parts of grief. Like, we'll never get to see a movie by this person again, or we'll never get to go for a coffee with this person or a beer with this person or whatever again.
Yeah.
So it brings up, like, you're still grieving. Maybe not on the same level.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as one-to-one.
Yeah.
But there is still a grief piece there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that also brings up a bunch of other things. You know, I'm just going to the incident that happened in Australia there. That brings up a whole whack. Because then when you throw in religion and whatnot, it brings up a lot of insecurities as well with other people and the other people in that community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, there's so many what do I want to call it? Off spokes.
Yeah. No, that's why when you said hub and spoke, I was like, yeah, there's so many little things.
Yeah.
And because grief has been so prevalent this week, I thought it's a good idea for us to have this conversation. But now looking at with the spokes, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. It's like a big spider web or a hub or whatever.
Yeah.
But and we have to give it that time, right? Give it that attention.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, like I know Sophie Kinsella, one of my favorite authors, she passed away not this past week, but the week before. And, you know, I had a sad that came up inside of me, and, you know, it took the moment to be with that emotion. And you're right. It's, you know, did I know this woman personally? I met her once and she was absolutely lovely, but I was in line with 500 other people. So it was a very quick interaction. But through her books, I felt very connected to her, loved her stories, loved the characters she created and whatnot. And so you kind of grieve that you never get to experience that again. Yeah. You know, just like you said about the movies and stuff, like you never know. And I think that's the most profound lesson of grief is you never know when you're going to experience someone or one of their gifts for the very last time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so when they say really take it in and allow yourself to be with each present moment, because you just never know.
Yeah. And again, another, you know, we had a friend that passed suddenly. And, you know, we weren't extremely close, but there's still there's still parts there. It's like, man, you really need to. We as a society really need to live every moment.
Yeah. Because
you don't know.
Yeah.
It can happen so sudden, and we're grieving all of these things that are happening.
Yeah. I always find it so interesting too, like knowing your friend that died, and how, you know, then you go, well, we weren't extremely close, you know, and that's the other thing I think with grief is we think, well, if it's a really close relationship, then you absolutely can grieve it. Even workplaces, oh, now you get bereavement days because this is how close of a relationship this was.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it really doesn't matter how close is this relationship right now in this moment.
Yeah.
It's what has the impact of that person been in your life.
Well, and that's kind of why I was saying about all of the deaths that have been coming up and all the grief that's going on, and not just the deaths, but with the holidays and people, you know, tend to miss people. There's a grief around this time. Mm-hmm. But all of these things that have gone on still affect us. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're best friends, not best friends, they're still impactful to us.
Yeah.
And we still have to give them that moment. And people, it doesn't bother me.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And I think it's because I think a lot of times in the spiritual community, there's this idea that if you're spiritual enough, you're not going to grieve the same way as what everybody else does, right? I can talk to dead people, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I could call up Sophie Kinsella if I wanted to and channel a book from her if I truly wanted to. But it's not the same.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And even as I say that, I just feel like that would just be like the most effed up thing to do. Can I ask my dad for his wisdom? Absolutely. Anytime I want. But it still just isn't the same.
Yeah.
And I don't care how spiritual a person is, because I'm a pretty spiritual person, and yet I still have emotions.
Well, I think there's a difference. There's an understanding, right? And then there's the emotional part of it, right? Understanding that this person has fulfilled their journey. They came here to do what they need to do. Everything was perfect the way it needed to be.
Yeah.
Which we find for them because, you know...
Yeah, it's something that I've
just been learning the past couple of years. We have this expectation that people are going to live forever, which we're not.
Yeah.
And yet, there's still that empty piece that we're missing.
Yeah.
And you still have to feel through that. And you can still have the understanding, but the emotions and that grieving piece is going to be there.
Yeah.
I think they are two different things, and you can be at peace with it.
Yeah.
But still feel that grief.
Yes.
Or feel those emotions. I don't want to say grief because I think the grief is always there, but it's like an emotional roller coaster, right?
Well, yeah, because grief is like, you know, it's this ball, and this ball contains sadness, and it contains gratitude, and it contains anger, and it contains denial, and it contains bargaining, and it contains, you know, different levels of trust with God and the beyond and whatever else, and it might even contain like some deep hatred or whatever. Like it's a ball that has all of these different elements to it, and each one comes up at a different time, you know? So it's giving yourself that permission to fully feel your way through it and to fully express your way through it as well, and to go, all of this is okay. There's no perfect way to grieve.
Yeah.
There's no perfect way to express your grief. You know, if anybody tells you should get over it, you can tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Like, that's honorable too.
Well, and I think the big message, not the biggest, it really is live every moment.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And is I told you earlier this week, I will say I love you 100 million times and it will never be enough.
Yeah.
Because it just will never be enough. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah. 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 Well, and another aspect of that, just talking about like that expression of love, and it was something that really dawned on me this week as there was a family emergency that came up, and it helped me to realize what a unique gift grief is for each of us.
Yeah. Because
when you grieve someone who's passed away, it means you got to love them right until the end.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful gift that is. You know, I'm going through some grief right now of grieving relationships of people who are still alive.
Yeah. And we talked about this week too. Yeah.
And to be able to be with someone right up until the end, whatever age they might be, but to be able to be there right up until the end of their life and to pour your love onto them and to love them so much that after they're gone, your heart just breaks for the absence of them. What a unique gift to be able to have with someone. And I don't think 27 years ago when my dad died, I could have ever thought like this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, no, this is not a unique gift. But now it's like, wow, I got to love him right up until the end. You know?
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
Yeah, I would say, you know, a few years ago, I looked at grief much like I think a lot of people do. I could be wrong. Where it's like, okay, somebody dies, you're upset for a while, and you move past it, get on with your life.
Yeah.
And now I do look at it a little different. I do see it as it is an imprint that's left from that love that was shared.
Yeah.
Or that moment that was shared, or that whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That it's that imprint on you. And it's not a bad thing.
No. And that's a lot of the language that I found I received when I was younger and experiencing grief, and kind of the emotions and the actions that I was taking from my grief was essentially, you can't grieve like that. Like, literally
You
put
have
it
to
in
do
a
it.
perfect box with a bow on top, make it look good for everybody, and that's how your grief can show up. And then in that, there's such an unraveling, because you're at conflict with yourself going, I need to cry, but I can't.
Yeah.
I need to get over this, but I can't. But on this day, because it's his death day, I'm allowed to be sad on this day. And on this day, because it's his birthday, I'm allowed to be sad on this day, and maybe a little bit at Christmas. But other than that, I need to keep it contained. And it was such a line of bullshit that I was fed. So.
Yeah, it would almost feel like you would be stockpiling until those days, and then you're just releasing on those days, versus having those moments and going, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even because when you stockpile, sometimes you stockpile so much that on the day, you can't figure out where your stockpile is.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I know I should be sad today,
Yeah.
but I'm not sad today. But then, maybe it's 47 days later and suddenly I'm like, I just miss my dad or whatever. And yeah, it really is just giving yourself permission to feel the grief whenever it's coming up, instead of thinking that it's got to be reserved for this day or that day, or only within the first 10 years. And then after that, you've got to just move on. And I mean, it does get easier with time.
Yeah, and I do think it is important. Like, I know that it gets easier with time. I think the good thing is to keep them alive, right? Is keep them included in the conversations.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of like ancestral work over the last 6 months to a year, and I've grown a newfound admiration for my family, my grandparents, and the things that they went through.
Yeah.
And it's just keeping that story alive instead of going, well, it was just this and moving on.
Yeah.
Keep them in that moment and keep them.
Absolutely. And it's been an interesting kind of dynamic as well in like raising the kids. And I can see my dad in each of the kids. And I know my sisters have said the same about their own children as well, that there's certain mannerisms, there's certain jokes, or there's certain life skills and stuff that he was just really good at or kind of known for. And then to see the kids just kind of naturally have that. And I know that's part of the gifts of the ancestral line and stuff, they never had a chance to meet him, but they're still kind of tapped into his energy or whatever.
It's still there, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, wow, he still is influencing them. And yet there's also that grief piece too of they never get to know him, right? So when I talk to them about my dad, they don't have any sense at all who that is.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
Yeah. And I want to kind of move away from death.
Yeah.
Not because I think there's more grieving that goes on that we just kind of bypass, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And like we talked a little bit about grieving relationships, or grieving who people used to be, or what society used to be like.
Yeah.
Right? Like, 10 years ago it used to be this way and now it's this way and I wish it was that way. And I think if we really pay attention to certain situations, you can see that that's what it is, grief,
Yeah.
Like, sure, we all change, we all evolve, and sometimes, relationships aren't the same.
Yeah.
And you're going to grieve what was versus what is, because maybe what is now is not preferable to you at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm experiencing it right now, and grieving relationships of people who are still living, but the relationship just can't carry the same dynamic that it once did. And I know you've been going through that experience with some relationships as well.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting kind of experience because it's not the same level of grief as losing a loved one, but there is definitely like that kind of depth of sadness is still there. And I think what's a little bit different for it too is you can still see possibility.
Yeah.
So that kind of bargaining idea is still in there and going, well, what if I just did this, or what if I just show up like this, or whatever. And sometimes that would be, a loss of identity for yourself.
Yeah.
So then you have to choose, what one do I lose?
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, right? Or I found it frustrating until I come to that realization that, things have changed and I'm waiting for this to be the same.
Yeah.
So I'm grieving this old way, which it's not. So I have to check myself and go, it's okay. This is and this is perfect. This needs to not go away. I can still remember how it used to be.
Yeah.
But I need to change my way of how this relationship is or how I see it. Not look to it be the same.
Yeah, and not try and pull how it was into the now.
Yeah, not try to change it back or anything like that. Just let it be.
Yeah.
And remember, okay, this is where it used to be. This is where it is now. Okay, that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which takes a lot of acceptance sometimes, because sometimes we don't even realize what switched in the relationship. And a lot of times it's all these little microcosms, events that have happened that have shifted them slightly, have shifted you slightly, or whatever. And so the paths naturally start to diverge, but you don't recognize, right? Because it's there's not a big earthquake moment that goes, oh, this is the blow up, so now we know we're on these separate paths. It's just a gentle kind of pull away.
Yeah. And I think there doesn't have to be the blow up, right?
Yeah.
The blow up happens when you don't have that realization that things have changed. Why aren't you the same way? Why aren't you blah, blah, blah? And you just feel that anger and you get madder and madder and I want you to be this way, blah, 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 blah. But if you step back and take a breath and realize there's that you are actually you, not the other person. The other person is doing what they need to be doing. They're living their life. You are grieving that old relationship.
Yeah.
You are the one you're the one causing your own anger because you're missing something that has evolved.
Yeah.
And it's not maybe preferable or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still on you to do the work and go, okay, I need to update my database on this.
Well, and sometimes we've been updating already, right? We go through these kind of evolutions of our souls, the evolution of our experience. Other people go through their own evolution of themselves. And so in that evolution, things sometimes split apart, and that's okay. But yeah, it is in that kind of experience of that evolution that we can get angry that it isn't what it once was, but it may have actually served its purpose at this point in time in our lives.
Yeah.
And it can be so hard to accept that sometimes, especially because you do have that grief that comes up naturally, but that when anything comes to an end, you just kind of feel sad, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And then you do try and pull it back and go, I need to find this in my life again. I need to bring this back into my life.
And, it's funny because we also talked about you don't grieve the bad that is gone, right? So everybody's almost a new year, getting into 2026. Everybody's like, oh, 2025 is gone. Oh, thank God! I swear I hear this every year.
Yes.
Oh, 2024. I wait till 2025. I can't wait for 2024 to be gone.
Yes.
We don't grieve 2024.
Yes.
We don't go, oh, I missed 2024. Mind you, I shouldn't say that because I hear a lot of people from a certain era go, oh, I miss the 90s, or, you know, they do but for the most part, the last, I'd say 10, 15 years, I haven't heard anybody miss 2020?
I do actually, I have heard some people say that they miss 2020. They miss the coziness of their own home and not having to deal with people.
It is rare that we grieve non-preferable.
Yes, like we don't grieve that we paid off our debt. We don't grieve. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's certain things that we're very happy to let go of. Yeah. That we're very happy to close those doors on, and we don't experience it as a loss. We experience it as a gain. And then there's also, like, I guess, ultimately what it comes down to is the experience of losing debt, right, would mean that you have more financial freedom. Yeah. So you're not going to grieve something that already had you at a lower level. Where if you are, like, grieving someone that you loved, love is, like, up here, and to lose it would be to come down into grief, so it would feel like a drop from the frequency you were at.
I guess when you were in debt, you were in your grief moment.
Yes.
And when you were paid your debt off,
you're in that love moment.
Yeah. So, and that's a great thing, and it's kind of a great way to look at going back to when I said, you know, we're coming away from death, but it's still to look at it that way too is, you know, celebrate that moment, celebrate that, hey, you know what? Yeah, you did what you need to do. You did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to miss you. I'm going to be, you know, I'll still remember, I'll still talk, I'll still carry on the name and whatnot.
Yeah.
But good for you.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, shouldn't we all be so in gratitude?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe I shouldn't say should, but what an opportunity for us to exercise being in gratitude because someone has completed their soul's mission here on earth. So their soul has been called back to source energy because they've completed that mission. Yes, that is something that should be celebrated. And there's a really cool story that I've seen on the internet where it's talking about, you know, when souls are coming into this world, we've got so many people on this side that are so excited and so, like, celebratory, like this, well, let's welcome this new soul in. And there's souls on the other side that are grieving the loss of that soul from the oneness as they come on into earth. And then on the other side of that, as souls are leaving the earth, we have people that are surrounding them going like, oh, this is so sad that you're going. But on the other side, there's all these souls that are, like, welcoming them in. Yeah. And so it kind of creates that torus of, like, this is what this looks like on a soul level.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. The journey is never over.
No. Like, we're just going to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back, which was another piece that was helpful for me as well, was actually doing past life regressions and being able to see my soul and some of my soul family in different incarnations with each other. And it was very reassuring for me to go like, right, this isn't the only time I'm here. This isn't the only time they're here. We're going to keep coming back and we're going to keep doing these dances together. So it's okay.
Yeah. A shift in timeline, right? A shift in that dimension, whatever.
Yeah. And the part that used to kind of scare me was, will I still remember just how much I love them? You know, knowing that we always come in as different characters for each person. Will I remember the love? Will I remember how much they've done for me in this lifetime? Will I, you know, remember to express my love or whatever? Or are they going to be like a non-playable character in the next lifetime?
Yeah. And see, I think they're always, the things will transcend. Will you remember exactly this? No.
See, and that's what I want.
But it will come through. Well, when you have deja vu and you have those little things come and go like, man, I know this. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I know this. It's like when we met.
Yeah.
It was like we knew each other forever.
Yeah.
It wasn't. That was not the case. But it
was.
But what it was, but it
Yeah, it was like our
felt that way.
souls recognized each other.
Yeah.
And I guess what's different for me is I don't remember meeting my dad for the first time. Right? I was a newborn.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there was that soul recognition, where with you, there was that soul recognition. And I've had other people in my experience where it's just like, I know you from another lifetime, and it's.
But I think that is how it will come through.
Yeah.
And that's in my opinion, anyways. I don't think there may be some things that, if you really meditate and really focus on, that you will be able to draw in.
Yeah.
But I think they will come up no matter what.
Yeah.
We don't remember it the same.
Yeah, and that's where I just have my idealized way, if I could experience life exactly as I want to create it, that every person that I meet, it would be like, right, I know you from this mountain 7,000 years ago. I know you from this Victorian lifetime 150 years ago. I know you from this Egyptian lifetime 5,000 years ago. And these were the characters you played. You're someone that's on my side. Got it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would like to have with people, And yeah, even in those experiences where someone hasn't perhaps been as loving or kind to you in a past life, to be able to recognize that and go, let's work on that this lifetime, and ultimately we have on some sort of soul contract, we've come back into each other's peripheral to be able to sort out these kind of karmic lessons or whatever, or these soul lessons. But because we forget so much, and then we automatically think this person is this character that's doing this to me, but on a soul level, there's a reason that it's happening, and there's an initiation.
Yeah,
that's happening.
Nobody's doing anything to you.
Yeah.
Right? These are things that you've brought to your own purview.
Yes. And I can look at the experience. I have to drink water. I can look at the experience of my dad's passing and go, why would that have to happen? I was so young. Mm-hmm. He was so young. My sisters were so young. Like, look at my mom's experience with that. Like, none of this was fair. Yeah. None of this was right. And why would God choose to do this? Yeah. But now I can actually look at it and go, wow, that was such a huge soul initiation for me. That was such a moment of time in my life where I was being called to follow my gifts that are awakened now. But at the time, it just felt like being plunged into darkness and being told, like, that's all you're going to do now. And so I think with these experiences, when we lose someone, whether it's a tragedy or just an illness or whatever, they are initiation periods to open our hearts and to open us to perhaps more purpose. Of course, nobody can be here forever.
No, and I agree. It's a call to action, right? Mm-hmm. It is like, okay, now it's your turn. Take this and do something with it. Mm-hmm. Don't just let this be. And when I say that, I don't mean, try to find the root cause to it. Sometimes that does drive people to find cures to different illnesses and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's great. But it is a call to action for you to move, to do something.
Yeah. And it's okay if when you lose someone, that's not your first thought.
No.
Because it took many years for me to actually understand, this is perhaps how I can take this pain and turn it into purpose. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I know, it's just like take a moment and just breathe there, eh? Yeah. And just...
Yeah, that just given the number of deaths, and I said I wanted to go away, and here I am again. I think
because you can't make it go away.
Well, no, but I really want to reinforce the fact of death is inevitable. Yeah. And yes, we're seeing more in the last little while. I've often said in the last couple weeks, getting close to 2026, people are checking out.
Yeah.
And we started noticing it was like...
Yeah, well, because we're coming to the end of this 9 cycle, right?
Yeah.
And then stepping into a 1 cycle in 2026. So it is interesting to see how many people are leaving this planetary plane.
this part.
Yes.
This part of the journey.
Yes.
Yeah. And just having an awareness of that, and having an awareness of grief, and just that whole process. And I'm glad that you shared your process and how your experience was, because I think it's something that will definitely help viewers and people just in general. Like,
Yeah. So, if you're going through this holiday season and you're experiencing grief, know that you're not alone. And it's okay to feel however you feel. Find different ways to express it, whether it's through talking with a friend or a loved one, whether you're listening to music and allowing yourself to just cry listening to the music, whether you're painting, whether you're writing, whether you're dancing with it or moving your body funky like John was earlier. Just find different ways to express it. There's no need to hold it all in. I know one of the things that I've heard from clients over the years is they're afraid if they start allowing themselves to express the grief, they're not going to be able to stop. You'll be able to stop, just like you can stop peeing. You'll be able to stop. And some people are also afraid that if they grieve, they're going to lose the memory of their person. And I can also promise you, you will not lose the memory of the person that you're grieving. That their memories will stay even as the emotions start to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's not, end things on a solemn note, because, I mean, grief does bring, I can feel...
Yeah, no, there's
between
lots
us
of emotions.
we're all kind of like...
And isn't that just natural? This is what we want to do in grief, right?
Yes.
It's like we hold ourselves. Yes. And I think that's okay too. You know, it's a difficult topic.
But what I want to do is end this off with open-hearted.
Yes.
And yes, grief is natural. Death is natural.
Yeah.
Take it, be with it, transcend it, and, carry that story forward, carry those memories forward, and just know that it is all part of the journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Honor your people.
Yeah. Whoever
your people might be, and find ways to honor yourself, I think, with it as well, right? Like, I think if you have good days, especially if you're at the beginning stages of grief, if you have good days, congratulate yourself for that. Don't guilt trip yourself for that. Yeah. Allow yourself to let joy in again. Our loved ones want us to experience joy. They want us to experience love. They want to see us laughing, and they want to see us carrying on living in ways that they're not able to anymore. But what a gift that you give them to be able to witness you going out and living your life. Yeah. So we are heading into the holidays now.
Yes.
And we're wishing you all Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy holidays.
Yes, including all
inclusive and all loving and whatnot.
Yeah.
I hope everybody has a great holiday, and if you don't have holidays, and it's still the holiday season, so celebrate the best you can, with love in your heart. And the New Year's coming up, and that's always a little exciting, a new opportunity, new chance, new year. I didn't think 2025 was all that bad, but
no.
It wasn't, it's just a year. I really do wish everybody a safe and happy holidays, and we'll be back
next week.
We'll be back next week with a new topic.
Yeah.
And, if there's anything that you want us to talk about, or if you want to have a conversation with us, by all means,
reach out.
Yeah.
info@compassionwithcatherine.com, or just leave a comment on our Instagram at The Sacred Exchange Podcast, or on YouTube at Compassion with Catherine, The Sacred Exchange Podcast.
And don't forget to like, subscribe,
and comment.
And give a thumbs up and a heart.
All the things that they tell us to say. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.